Boxing truth here. Not done with this chump just yet. One more video about this overrated fighter. And Mikey Garcia, who was being billed as a top 2-3 pound for pound fighter in the world. I knew he wasn't that. I've been telling you guys for over the past year that I wasn't convinced that he was a pound for pound top 5 level fighter or even top 10. And I was proven right this past Saturday night as Mikey Garcia got beat by a kickboxer, got out countered, got out skilled. Lipinets showed more creativity, more punch variation, more moves, combinations to the body and head, feints, jabs to the body and head, up and down jabs, counter hooks, counter overhand rights, uppercuts, combinations. And all Mikey would do was on occasion land a 1-2, a lead left hook here and there. And that was enough for all his fanboys to think that he beat Lipinets this past Saturday night. But it's all it takes nowadays for the fans to get duped. Little biased commentating, bullshit punch stats, and that's all it takes for these guys who run the boxing game to fool a lot of y'all people. But they can't fool me, alright? Watched it again. Man, all I gotta say is what a robbery. And a lot of people gave Mikey Garcia the fight simply because of the knockdown. They said it was the difference. To me, the knockdown wasn't significant at all. And it wasn't significant to me because Mikey Garcia didn't gain any momentum after he scored that knockdown. Lipinets was giving him that work. He was schooling him, was whooping his ass. And especially, just watch the 6th round. I mean, he put a whooping on Mikey Garcia. And it was the one round that Mikey Garcia didn't celebrate. It was so funny because even he himself knew he lost that round. And he was getting chipped up in the 7th round. Then he finally scored the knockdown. Now here's what happened after Lipinets got knocked down. He wasn't that hurt. Was pretty much caught off a little bit off balance, but it was a knockdown. He got caught. Was careless. Got overconfident because he was starting to put a whooping on Mikey Garcia. Got caught. It halted his momentum momentarily. But here's what happened after Garcia recorded the knockdown and why it wasn't significant to me. Lipinets got up, wasn't that hurt, dusted himself off, and won the next 2 rounds clearly of the fight. Arguably won 4 of the last 5. Definitely won 3 of the next 4 rounds of that fight after he got knocked down. That's why to me it wasn't significant. It's, you know, a knockdown can be significant if you continue to bank rounds as the fight progresses. You continue to win rounds and you continue to get the better of your opponent. And that was why that knockdown to me wasn't very significant. Even if you get knocked down once and you get knocked down in a fight, the objective is still the same. You still have to win 7 rounds in a fight to win the fight. It's the same as you go in. If you get knocked down once, you still have to win 7 rounds. And Lipinets, in my eyes, clearly did that. Someone asked me what rounds I gave Lipinets. Here's the rounds that Lipinets clearly won. Round 3, round 4, round 5, round 6, round 8, round 9, round 11. And that is 7 rounds that he clearly won. You can argue he won as many as 9 rounds. There were 2 swing rounds in the bout, round 12, round 2. I scored it 8-4. I gave round 2 to Lipinets. Round 12 could have went either way. So on my card, I had it 8-4 with the knockdown, so 115-112. The point is, Lipinets clearly won the fight. Got robbed, in my opinion. And it's a damn shame he didn't get a fair shake. The stack was completely against him. 3 American judges, Lawrence Cole, San Antonio, pretty much fighting in Mikey's backyard. Imagine if Mikey had to fight Lipinets in Kazakhstan with 3 Kazakhstan judges and a corrupted Kazakhstan referee. You really think that's a fair fight? No wonder the odds were so heavily favored against Lipinets. The bookies knew something I didn't know, was that he had no chance in hell in getting a decision. And I pretty much just got robbed of $700. $700 should be in my fucking hands right now. I knew Lipinets was gonna chip Mikey up, and that frankly, I'm a little pissed off that this corrupted damn boxing game is taking money out of my pocket. I gotta be more selective with my wagering in the future. No wonder Lipinets was such a heavy underdog. They fucking knew he wasn't gonna get a decision. That's why. But anyways, let's talk about Mikey's career going forward. After getting beat by a kickboxer, so what's gonna be his next move? Will be interesting. He just lost the George Linares fight. A fight he really wanted. Well, supposedly, but he was paid more money to fight Lipinets instead. That's why he didn't take the fight. Was hoping to get that fight next since it was going to be mandated by WBC. He's lost that fight now. Linares is going to fight Lomachenko. That's a done deal for May 12th. Good fight between those two fighters. And Mikey's pretty much just lost his biggest fight in the lightweight division. So he's a title holder in 2 divisions. Holds the IBF at 140. Holds the WBC in the lightweight division. Now, he just lost the Linares fight. That was his biggest fight in the lightweight division. So now he's gonna set his sights on, if he returns to lightweight, on Robert Easter Jr. for unification. Easter's been ordered to fight Comney again. However, he can request an exemption through the IBF to fight Mikey Garcia instead for unification. The issue with this fight is the fight big enough in terms of will the numbers add up for both fighters to share the pot? That's going to be the issue with that fight. It might be not enough money in the pot to satisfy both champions in Garcia and Easter Jr. to make that fight. That was the issue when they tried to make this fight for the first quarter of this year. The numbers couldn't add up, and it just wasn't enough money in the pot. So Mikey Garcia has other options if he wants. He has to make a decision very quickly in 10 days, 9 days now, to fight the mandatory challenger and Ivan Baranchyk for the IBF at 140. He has to make that decision because he can't request any exemptions, since Lipinets requested an exemption to fight Mikey Garcia because Lipinets won a vacant title, and when you win a vacant title with the IBF, you have to make a mandatory defense very quickly. They give you a shorter time frame. So you can request an exemption, but you got to fight the mandatory thereafter immediately. So Mikey's in a situation where he has to make a quick decision. Ivan Baranchyk, I'm not high on him. He's not that good. He scored a decent win over Petrov, but he pretty much just overpowered a lightweight. I would pick Mikey to beat Baranchyk. Baranchyk is a little too young, not enough experience. His technique is not there yet. He's not sharp enough. His defense has too many holes in it. Mikey would tear him apart with those 1-2s. He's just too experienced, too seasoned to get beat by Baranchyk right now. And Baranchyk, he's got some power. He's explosive, but only for a few rounds. And it's the type of power Mikey hasn't felt before. Baranchyk is not even on Lipinets' level. So if Mikey vacates, I hope the IBF will recognize the performance Lipinets had against Mikey and install him as the next leading available contender to fight Baranchyk for the vacant belt. I will pick Lipinets to beat Baranchyk. I will also pick Mikey to beat Baranchyk as well. So for that fight, if Mikey wants to keep his belt at 140, he'll fight Baranchyk, but it doesn't make sense for him to fight this guy. It's not a big name. A lot of boxing fans are going to say, Ivan who? I mean, he'll get a big portion of the proceeds since he'll shortchange Baranchyk, since he's just a mandatory challenger. So he'll get the bulk of the money compared to what he will get for Easter Jr. But it's a fight that does nothing for him. And I know Mikey, he wants to take exciting challenges. He wants a fight that will excite him more. And Baranchyk is not gonna do nothing for him in terms of the excitement factor. So maybe Garcia has something else up his sleeve. Maybe he'll pursue a welterweight in the near future if the options are not exciting enough, enticing enough to take in the lighter weight divisions. But I sense he'll fight Easter Jr. next, because he's talking about returning to lightweight, and that's a makeable fight. It's a more bigger fight in terms of stature, and then it's a unification fight. It's a very winnable fight. But the Barancak fight for Mikey is very winnable as well. So he's got to make a choice. Which one excites him more? Which one makes more sense? To me, it's the Easter Jr. fight. Very winnable, beatable guy in Easter Jr. Get another strap. If he has to vacate to fight for not fighting Barancak, then it is what it is. Some people may say he ducked him, but Barancak ain't ready for Mikey Garcia. Needs a lot of work. But I ain't gonna give Mikey shit for not fighting him, and he fights Easter Jr. instead. That fight makes a lot more sense for him. But we'll see what Mikey Garcia's next move is. He's not gonna fight pretty much anyone on the other side. It's mostly gonna be Haymon fighters from here on out. Guys on the Showtime side. I see him beating Robert Easter Jr. if he fights him, and then eventually challenging a welterweight. There's definitely a lot of doubts among fans if he can beat a welterweight. I don't think he can beat any of the champions. But if I was advising him, I would say there is one welterweight he can beat, and that is Danny Garcia. If he was to move up in weight and test the waters out first in the welterweight division before fighting Errol Spence. But the thing is, he can beat Danny Garcia, but he can't beat any of the champions. And I sense that Haymon is going to want to feed him to eventually one of those guys, either Spence or Thurman, to raise their profile. In my view, it's going to be Spence in order to raise his profile, in order to make the Keith Thurman fight a lot bigger in the future. So Mikey's star power is going to be used in order to build another one of Haymon's fighters, which I see is going to be Errol Spence. So Mikey's career is what it is. He says he has a lot of options, but he really only has options on one side of the street. But at least he has more than one option. He's not a pound-for-pound level fighter. He is not a great fighter, but a good fighter that got beat by a kickboxer. But that kickboxer can fight, man. Lipinets gave him that work. Definitely will never be a rematch between those two. But I give credit to Mikey for taking that fight. The protection was in place, of course. The PBC and Richard Schaefer, they knew Lipinets could fight. They knew that was going to be a tough fight. They thought Mikey could beat him, but they put the protection in place just in case he didn't, and he didn't win that fight. But he got the gift decision, and now he moves on to bigger and better things. But he'll never reach that potential or the expectations of a lot of fans and becoming a pound-for-pound king, pay-per-view star, top 5 pound-for-pound level fighter. Maybe you guys will still rate him there, or whatever, since a lot of fans still high on this guy. But he's not that good. Good fighter, just not great. But I sense the Robert Easter Jr. unification will be next. And eventually Mikey will be fed to Errol Spence in the near future. This is Boxing Truth. I'm out.